Good morning. I have been wanting all week to record a teaching on the fruit of the Spirit, the first one, love. But I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it, and I've been praying and hoping that the Father would show me how this looks like to Him and what He would have me talk about. And just all day yesterday I was hoping to be able to record and put it up for today. But it's either Missouri allergies or the flu, and I don't know, and frankly, I don't even care at this point. But I wasn't going to press it, and then this morning something happened, and it just brought me back to a dream I had last summer, and I realized He's been showing me this for a long time. But let's talk about love. Let's talk about the fruit of the Spirit, love, and what that meant, and how we've completely twisted it with our modern ideals. First of all, love in the ancient Near East in the first century had nothing to do with warm and gushy warm feelings. How I personally feel about you as a person. Whether I get happy when I see you or I get unhappy when I see you. That's not what love is or was. Love was defined by covenantal loyalty, meaning, we're bound together in covenant with God through Yeshua, Jesus our Messiah. So we're bound together. We're in a covenant relationship with the God of the universe. And it behooves us to have loyalty towards one another. So what does loyalty look like? Well, this morning I had an incident happen that I had to deal with. And I want to put it to you this way. The body, in a way, how we conduct ourselves in the world, it's sort of like God's personal Facebook page. And there's everyone in the world on it. And they're all looking at the interactions that go on. So what if He had a thread and all of a sudden a married couple start fighting with each other? Now these are two people who are supposed to love each other. And they have more reason than anyone else in the world to love each other and to show loyalty to each other. They have children together. They have a knowledge of each other and a relationship. They have things in common that they don't have in common with anyone else in the world. They have intimacy in other ways. And yet, when they bring their arguments in front of the world and start shaming each other, that brings shame on the God that they're in covenant with. Does that make sense? That is what we do as believers. We get together and we fight, and we don't only debate, because debating is fine. Debating is fine, but debate is something that requires respect. Without respect, and without certain rules of conduct, a certain order of the situation, places that neither side will go out of just pure sense of honor, then it's not a debate. It's a war. And so a lot of what people call debates, I don't call debates. I call war. Right now, we have got the body of Messiah at war with each other. And we see hatred. Not only hatred as in feeling contempt for one another, our modern ideas of hatred, but hatred in the terms of showing no covenantal loyalty whatsoever. For instance, say that there's a certain teacher in the Hebrew Roots movement or in Christianity that I disagree with, or that I personally just, I don't like them, or maybe they don't like me. If I went on their page and started tearing them down, I'm talking about Facebook here, just comparing the world to Facebook. It's kind of shallow, but here it is. If I go on their Facebook page for the purpose of shaming them and tearing them down, all right, to overwhelm them with myself, to play pretty much teacher on their teacher page, is that loving? Why can't we go to each other in private? You know, I have teachers that I'm associated with, and I love them, and it wouldn't matter if I had, you know, kind of icky feelings towards one, because I owe them my love and my respect. And so if they teach something I disagree with, I need to be going to them privately and saying, hey, let's talk this over. I'm not going to go to their Facebook page and tear them down in front of their students. What if I'm wrong? I've still shamed them. I need to have more love for them, more respect for them, more compassion for them. But as long as I make it about myself and my ministry and my teachings and what I currently understand, if I make that about myself, I have ceased to be loving. I no longer love. I exist only for myself. I have pulled myself out of the loving bonds of covenant, and I'm no longer serving God, which I would tell myself in my zeal that I'm doing, because I'm not loving my neighbor. And it's not just as a teacher towards another teacher, it's as a believer towards another believer. We run roughshod over each other, bickering in public, being cruel, shaming, scolding, nagging. Well, who gave us the right to act this way? We get permission from ourselves, because we have become, you know, especially in the West, we have this idea of freedom of speech. But you know, in the kingdom, what we have is responsibility of speech and freedom to love. We have to start looking at things not in terms of how we feel about somebody or what they teach, but covenantal loyalty. And I owe to my brothers and sisters in Messiah a measure of loyalty. Now, if I disagree with the teaching, that's fine. I have the right to do that. But how do I handle it? Do I handle it by tearing apart the person teaching? One, it doesn't work, because you just make a martyr of them, especially if they've gathered a cultish following. It's the dumbest thing you can do. Because people feel loyal to teachers, sometimes more than they should, you know, putting them on a pedestal. And I've had people put me on a pedestal even though I'm barely known, okay? And I actually like it that way. Less male. Making a martyr of somebody, attacking somebody, doesn't work. Let's preach the truth instead. And don't do the passive-aggressive stuff. Don't say, well, some people that don't know the truth say this. Is that really going to work? Is that really going to work? It's like these attacks I see on Facebook that aren't disguised attacks. Well, Shabbat Shalom to everyone who keeps the true Sabbath and feasts. Again, passive-aggressive attacks. It's not showing covenantal loyalty. It's not showing respect. It's not loving. You know, I see that kind of stuff and I unfollow, even if I really like the person, because it breaks my heart to see it. It's self-centered. It's saying everyone who agrees with me is right and blessed of God and obedient and loves God, and everyone who is not in lockstep with me is not any one of those things. Well, since when did Tyler Rosenquist's views become perfection? Since when did she become right about everything? Since when, you know, really, how important am I? How knowledgeable am I? Am I inerrant? Can two people not look at the same things and see different things and still love God just as much as each other, and still be just as obedient in their heart of hearts, and still be just as knowledgeable, and yet have a different idea? That is not to say there are not false teachings and false teachers out there, because there are. And the more I study context, the more I see it. And yet I still owe loving commitment to those people who are in covenant with my King and his Messiah, through his Messiah. I don't have the right to act hatefully towards them, to shame them publicly just in order to exalt myself. Because if I succeed in luring away their followers to myself through such means, then what have I done? What have I accomplished? All I've managed to do is draw away a bunch of people who enjoy seeing someone shamed, enjoy seeing somebody trampled and pummeled. And I see it a lot. Now, I see people who do it to other people scream bloody murder when somebody does it to them, or even when they perceive it done to them. And that's why we have to be very careful. Our behavior has to be above board and above reproach. We can't afford to be playing the shame game with each other, whether we're husband or wife, whether we're brother or sister, no matter what. And it doesn't matter if you like me personally or not. You owe me what I owe you, and that is covenant loyalty. And anyone who would publicly just ride roughshod over somebody else just to show that they're right, just to impress others, it's not the kind of person I want to have teaching me. It's not the kind of person I want to have representing my God in full sight of the world. And I told you about a dream I had a year ago, and I'm going to share it. And I'm not going to share the person who was in it, because it involved a teacher that I was following very, very heavily for a while and supporting. But I had a dream where he and I were married, okay? And I did everything I could to please him. I cooked things the way he would want. I kept the house clean. I tried to be everything that would be pleasing to him. And yet he hated me. And he hated me because of something I cannot control about myself. We can't control our genetics. And I didn't understand that dream when I woke up, but then 3 days later, when he was preaching a sermon, I saw him say, in not so many words, exactly what he told me in the dream, that I was never going to measure up. And he was shaming people publicly for being ethnically something that he was never going to approve of. And you know, that's on him. He owes me equity and loving commitment, whether he recognizes it or not. And I still have to extend equity and loving commitment to him, even though he's made it clear that he does not view me as his sister. But that can't change the way I behave. I have to be loving. And it's hard, and sometimes I slip up, especially since this guy, because I feel like he betrayed me personally by not loving me. Even though he would publicly say he does. But his teachings say otherwise. His teachings are shameful to people like me. But I can't do anything about that. Sadly, he is out there representing people. He's out there representing our God in front of people, and I hope he comes to repentance. And I hope he stops hating people for not being born the way he would have them be born. I can't say any more than that without really giving hints. And that's not my point. But the point is, we've got to stop treating each other inequitably for things that we have no control over. And we've got to stop shaming people just because we disagree with them, just because we think they've done something wrong, and bringing it out in public needlessly. Love covers. Love doesn't excuse, but But love knows the difference between things that have to be handled publicly, and love knows when to handle things publicly. Love handles things in order. Love extends dignity and equity. Love is loyalty. It's loving commitment. So, that's your small bite of fruit for this week, and I hope that helps. We really have to get over our individual attitudes that whatever I have to say needs to be said, or whatever I want to say needs to be said, and the people I want to shame need to be shamed, and the people who I think are damaging need to be destroyed. No. No. We can't play by the world's games. We also can't exalt our understandings to a point where we're willing to destroy other people. Haven't we been wrong before? Haven't we all been wrong on things? If that doesn't drive us into a point of humility and into a place of being very cautious before coming against others, especially if we haven't gone to them personally, then I don't know what to say. We should be incredibly humbled by our own track records. And until we can be humbled by our own track records, we really, really have absolutely no conception of our ability to be fallible and our ability to be deceived. And we will be again, because pride goeth before a fall. And we're not going to get away with hating people. Can't call ourselves the Church of Philadelphia if we're not extending brotherly loyalty towards each other, even towards those people who are irritating. Doesn't mean we have to be friends, doesn't mean we have to allow them on our Facebook pages, doesn't mean we have to be buddies, but it does mean we have to treat them with dignity. It's about dignity. We owe each other dignity until there's absolutely no other choice. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to share, and I'll be back in a few days with a teaching series. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day, and have a wonderful Sabbath.